Hi, my name is Joan Friedrich and I'm here at Marietta's Quilt and Sew in Simpsonville, South Carolina. And we're going to be bringing you a series of different types of projects that you can do, and we're going to make them easy, just like this Drunkard's Path. We're going to be doing Drunkard's Path in this series, and we're going to show you how easy it can be done. Now, many years ago, what would happen is you would have two pieces of fabric that look like this. You have kind of an L, and then you have a quarter circle is what you have. Then you would have to fit that rounded edge inside there, and you would have to pin that all the way around. Well, guess what? We're not going to use any pins in this series. So have fun. We hope you like the programs, and come see us sometime. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to be making our Drunkard's Path. But we need some few little items first before we start our project. This is the 1/4 inch quilting guide foot. So we're going to need that when we get ready to put everything together. Okay, so we're going to need that. We're also going to need what we call a circular attachment. And this is for the baby lock machines. And you may have one for your machine. You just check your dealer on what they have available for you. But I'm going to show you how to use this. You're going to need a pair of pinking shears. I'm going to use pinking shears. Okay. You're also going to need a glue stick. And this is one of my favorite glue sticks. It's a sew line glue stick. It is blue, but it dries clear and it goes away. So you'll need that. I'm using a quilting needle, which is a 7511. Also, I'm going to be using a monofilament thread because we're going to be doing a little tiny applique stitch and we don't want it to show. So we're going to be using a monofilament thread. We're also going to be using a wash away thread. This is something that you surely don't want to do if you're washing something such as a bathing suit or anything like that. It might fall all apart. So we don't want to do that. You'll see why later. You're going to need a Sharpie, a black Sharpie or a color Sharpie. You also may need to use one of these, what we call a thread director. And the thread actually sits up on the spool spindle. It sits up on this one sits up on the bobbin winder, and you may need to use that. You're also going to need a ruler, okay? And you're also going to need some type of a spray, like a spray starch. This is Material Magic, and what this does, it makes it nice and stiff, your fabric nice and stiff and more manageable. So you might need that. You're also going to need a bottle of spritz water. That's what we're going to need, and of course, we're going to need a small iron, or you could use a large iron. So I know that sounds like a lot, but you'll see it all come together. Then, of course, you're going to need your material. You need two types of material. You need one that has a nice print, and then you could use a solid or you could use a tone-on-tone here, whichever one that you prefer. But you want to make sure that you have a contrast. You're going to need to have, these are 5-inch squares. The solid is 5-inch square. You can make these any size that you want. And then you're going to need two 9-inch squares that look like this. Okay. What I've done here is I've taken my Sharpie. Let's see if I can find my Sharpie. There it is. This is a 9-inch square, and on the Sharpie, I've taken and I have divided it 4 1/2, 4 1/2, so I can get my crosshairs right in the middle. And so that has been my preparation for getting our squares done. Okay? Okay. Now we're going to set our machine up, and we're going to get ready to sew all of our parts together. We've already done our crosshair. I'm going to put the wash away thread. You can either put it on top or you can put it on the bottom. It doesn't make any difference. But for this demonstration, what I want to do, I actually want you to be able to see where I'm stitching at. So I'm going to go ahead and put my wash away thread in the bobbin. And I am using the Baby Lock Crescendo is the machine that I'm using. So when I tell you what stitches that I'm using, you may have to look on your machine to see what you're using. I mean, see what you can find on your machine that would be comfortable. So I'm going to go ahead And put my thread on. Thread my machine up. Okay, now this is the circular attachment that I was talking about, and it comes with a little pin, and it also comes with a screw. And you actually get two. There's two screws like this that come in the package. One to use and one to lose. That's me. Okay? All right. So I'm going to attach this to my machine. There is a little pin here and a little pin here. There are a couple of holes that these are going to sit in. And I'm going to set this here, just like that. And see how it goes around my feed dogs? Then I have my little screw here that I'm going to set in on the side. Just like that. Now I have this handy dandy little screwdriver. It's a 3-in-1, and this is to do your hoops with, to tighten your hoops up with. But I'm going to use this screwdriver edge right here to put this on with, and just tighten her down. Get that started, and then I'm just going to tighten her down, just like so. Okay, now also on here you have this slide that you can slide it backwards and forwards to however wide that you want to make your circle. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this on 100. That's where I want it to be. I'm going to take my pin, and I'm going to put my pin right in the middle of the crosshair right there, so it's sticking up. Then this pin is actually going to sit right into that little hole. So I'm going to put it in there just like so. And it snaps in. So now it's going to turn and spin. Okay. I want to start on one of my lines here. I'd rather start on one of my lines than to start in the middle of anything. That way I know where I'm getting to. So now let me push on the foot control, and I'm going to sew. Now I'm not going to sew at a real fast pace. I'm going to kind of sew slow, and I'm going to pet my fabric as I go. I'm just going to push it out of the way out here. See how I'm kind of petting my fabric? Because I don't want it to warp on the inside, and I want it to be nice and straight. See how I'm just kind of petting that? Now, every once in a while, if I see that I might be getting a little warp or something, I have on my machine, I actually have the sensor, the fabric sensor that raises my presser foot up. I've got it engaged on here. It's the pivoting feature. And so now I'm just going to keep patting it and keep rubbing it just a little bit. So it's going to sew nice and straight, and it's sewing a circle. We're actually making 8 squares at one time. Wow. Okay, now I'm coming around, and it is going to meet right here together. I'm going to cut my threads, and now what I'm going to do is there's a little release under here. I'm going to push that little release, and it's going to release my pin right off of there. And now I have sewn a circle all the way around. See that? The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors, my picking scissors, and I'm actually going to trim all the way around just about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, anywhere from 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch all the way around. And I already have one of those already done for you. And that's what it's going to look like. I have my crosshairs here. I've also got this great turntable here that I'm going to be using. I'm going to lay my ruler right where those crosshairs are. And I'm going to give it a slice. Then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to give the other one a slice. Just like that. Now I have 4 pieces, right? Well, when you open it up, you really got 2 pieces on one. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this right side out, just like so. And we would do that to all 4 pieces. I'm going to move my cutting mat. And now I'm going to give it a good little press. Just a really good little press on both sides. Make sure I got it all nice and even there. Okay. Now I'm going to open it up, and I want to look and see inside here which one is my wash-away thread. My wash-away thread I want on top. Looks like kind of like a little bird's beak. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it just a little spritz of water. Just a little. Okay? And now we are going to press it dry. Just give it a nice good press and press it dry. What's going to happen is that water is actually going to dissolve that thread, that wash-away thread, and you're going to have two different pieces that's going to come apart. Just like that. I might need to add just a tad bit more water. Just right there. If I do that, I go back in. I really want to go back in and I want to repress that again. Just like that. Because that might happen to you. Okay? And then open it up and it falls apart. So now you have pieces that look like this. Now we have our 5.5 inch squares. So what we're going to do with our 5.5 inch squares now, we're actually going to lay this down just like this. Going to lay it down like this. And we're going to be using our glue stick. This is our glue stick. So I'm going to take the glue stick and I'm going to run the glue, the bead of glue, just right alongside of that raw edge, just like this. And then I'm going to place it in the corner. Just like so. Now I'm ready to sew. Be sure that when you get ready to sew everything together and you're sewing on your top of the piece here, make sure that you take out that wash away thread, because when you wash the quilt, it'll all fall apart. So I've taken that out. Also, I'm going to be using an open toe applique foot. And this is our metal open toe applique foot, and it actually has some little lines on it that you can see and that you can guide your fabric by. I'm just going to take my regular foot off, and then I'm going to snap this one on. Now, I'm also going to be using on the Baby Lock Crescendo, I am going to be using, I have the quilting page open, the piecing and quilting page open. I'm going to be using that, the stitch number Q-12. This is my tiny little applique stitch, and the width comes up at 2.0 and the length is 2.0. I actually want to bring my width down to 0.75. So I'm going to bring it down to 0.75, 0.75 millimeters. I'm going to leave the length the way it is. I like that length, that's just fine. If you prefer to bring it down to 1.5 or maybe a little bit shorter, that is perfectly up to you. But I'm going to leave my length just the way it is. Also, I have my pivot feature on. My pivot feature, what it does is when my needle goes down, it lets me go ahead and it lets me swing the fabric around as I stop sewing. Okay? All right, let's get busy on this. Now, I'm also going to take out my regular thread. So I have a regular thread in, I'm going to take it out, and I want to put in my monofilament thread. Now, I'm using a spool of monofilament thread that looks kind of like this. And this is my thread director right up here at the top. So I'm going to slide this on my thread director, and it's going to pull it off just like so. I know you probably can't see that, but it's going to pull it off just really nice and smooth. Up and around, back down, and you can still use your needle threader with this. It works out very well. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to be following right along on this side of the folded. What it's going to do is it's going to take 2 stitches and a bite. 2 stitches and a bite. And you want to be sure that you're following those 2 stitches right along the edge of your folded edge. Okay, this is what it's going to be looking like. It's going to be attached. So you are going to, and I leave this on there because it's not going to hurt the quilt or anything like that. But that's our block that we're going to do, and we're going to do as many as needed for your project. Whatever you decide to do, you can do these any size that you want. You saw the pattern earlier. You can do it like this if you want to, and then you can turn this one out like this, and then this one out like so. This one's not quite done, but we can kind of show you a different way, and turn this one out like that, so that you can create different types of patterns. So just have your creative juices going, and you can make your pattern in any formation that you want. Just have fun with it.